Well, with a song called Miser of Morell and a band called Leary, you kind of know this group comes from the island. And I'm talking with two members of Leary or Leary. That'll be part of our conversation. Shaun Patterson and Chris Gaudette join me in the studio. Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Congratulations on your CD.
Thanks.
First of all, how long have you been together as a band?
We've been together since about 2012. Three of the original members of Leary were also members of my previous band, Ewig, another island-themed band that played in the metal genre. But we always had a notion of starting something new, and pretty much right out of the ashes of Ewig, we started this project. Why
did you call it O'Leary or O'Leary, or which did you call it?
O'Leary and O'Leary would both be correct. I think that we chose the name just because of the genre of music we wanted to play, this maritime-themed, Celtic-inspired music. We thought that was fitting. Also, based on the fact that Ewig was a PI place name, we decided to continue that theme and choose O'Leary, and we just thought it was one of the first things chosen for the band before I think any of the music was written, and we just loved it immediately and just stuck with it.
We actually had this notion of starting a Celtic punk-inspired band years before Ewig ended, and it was we definitely had the name O'Leary long before we had any material.
So punk-inspired, because I really felt a lot of energy in that first song. It kind of reminded me of being at a Great Big Sea show.
Yeah.
That kind of energy, lots of instruments. So are you looking at a mixture of genres then in your music?
100%. I like to refer to it as Celtic / bluegrass, punk / rock. It's because really we're mixing all sorts of influences. The Celtic punk is a very commonly thrown around genre term. Search online, you'll find all sorts of bands all over the world from places that there aren't even any Irish people that have Celtic punk bands, but we also have added in elements from more of a bluegrassy sound and also just more of a straight punk rock sound and straight up rock and roll. Our banjo player, who's also our lead singer, Danny Dowling, is strongly influenced by a lot of bluegrassy style stuff in his playing. So that definitely came into as a big element over and above just the traditional Celtic style.
And I think that, just being the group of guys that we are, we're all pretty big hard rock and metal fans. So whatever genre, whether it's the more traditional, whether it's the more punk-inspired stuff, we're going to play it with that sort of happy ferocity and energy. And I think that, you can definitely hear that in the album.
I think what helps that, too, is just the variety of instruments that your band members are playing. Maybe you can run through those.
Danny Dowling is our singer and a banjo player, plays a couple of different kinds of banjos. Garrett Curley is also in the band, a local musician, playing bouzouki, playing mandolin. Chris and Ben both play a couple of different guitars. We have a drummer, so we've got quite a variety. It makes for a pretty packed stage, a pretty packed jam space as well. We don't necessarily get to show up to a show and just plug in and play. There's a lot of tuning that goes on, but we're just really happy to have all these varied instruments because we find it gives us just a really rich sound.
And now that song that we played, first of all, Miser of Morell, you were telling me that was a kind of a traditional story or a folktale story. So are you looking at reaching back into traditional material as well as writing original material?
In terms of the way that the writing goes, Danny Dowling, who does the majority of he writes all of his lyrics for the original material. He typically looks at old stories and sort of filters it through his lens, basically. So traditional stories, ghost stories. The second song we're going to be playing, The Ship is Going Down, is based on the wreck of the Fairy Queen, a classic island story of, shipwreck story. So there's a lot of those sorts of things where we take a classic story from the island or maritime lore or Celtic lore and write it into a pop song structure, basically. We also will cover traditional pieces. When we do that, it's the recreation of it is more the musical recreation. We usually will leave the lyrics as is and just rearrange the song to our style. We want there to be a real island maritime feel to our band to sort of set us apart from a lot of the other bands that play in a similar style.
So in that tradition of traditional Irish songs, maritime songs, we're typically very engaged by stories of seafaring adventures, historical tales, and anything that involves, bad behavior, a little bit too much alcohol, being done wrong by a woman, and possible bad consequences, found at the end of a hangman's noose.
Right. That is all great writing material.
For sure.
Now, how are things going as far as gigs?
We've definitely, since we've been a band, we've definitely played our share of gigs. We did sort of slow down, largely to focus on the recording production aspects of the album. Also, we did have to transition to a new drummer when our original drummer left. So we recorded the album with Ryan Hale on drums, our original drummer. and then he moved to Newfoundland. And then along the way, like I said, just a lot of slow periods where we're just focusing on getting the recording finished. It took a long time. We definitely want to get more active in shows going forward. We do have a release show planned. It's November 14th at the Sportsman's Club. We're very excited about that. We have a local act banner year opening for us. And we really feel like that's going to be a good time, and we're going to play the whole album live as well as some other material.
Sounds great. We're going to hear another song from the CD. Maybe you could introduce it for us.
Track number 7 on our album, The Ship is Going Down, written by Danny Dowling, again with musical arrangement by Danny, myself, and Ben McElwain, our other guitar player. It's more of a straight-up rock and roll song, but the traditional instruments are still there, and they drive the melody of the song mainly. And it's a lot of fun, but it's also a serious topic because, again, it is about a shipwreck. So, but we try to, I don't know how to say this, we put the fun in shipwreck. I don't know if that...
exactly.
Chris, Shaun, thank you so much for telling us about your band, and all the best with the CD.
Thanks very much, Karen.
Thanks.
The band Leary from here on PEI.